once again. Good evening, everybody. Now imagine creating a melody so powerful that the entire world listens to it, but you can't. Let's cheer to this particular masterpiece. This is Symphony Number 9 by Ludwig van Beethoven. You see, Beethoven started losing his hearing by his late 20s. And by the time he reached his 40s and composed this masterpiece, he was completely deaf. Now, the idea of a deaf person composing a masterpiece sounds ridiculous to us. How could a deaf person compose a masterpiece? You see, Beethoven could not hear his own words, his own music, his own instruments, or even the applause of his fans. But here's the catch, he didn't need to. You see, Beethoven was so hell bent on the idea of creating masterpieces that he could create entire notes and symphonies just from his imagination. And while he could not listen to his music, 2 centuries later, the world still does. Beethoven had to learn to trust something beyond what life put in front of him, beyond the disability that life put in front of him. I had to do that in my own way. You see, for every other engineering aspirant in India, life follows a pretty simple plan. You work hard, you get into a reputed college, and then you're successful. For me, it meant IIT with computer science degree. I had decided and dad said that I'm going to get into IIT with a computer science degree. Like every other engineering aspirant, I did everything. I got enrolled into really good coaching. I studied hard for 11th and 12th. I gave up all the leisurely activities that I involved myself in. However, we have this unique tendency that whenever we are so focused that this thing is going to happen for us, we rarely consider the possibility that we might actually fail. And I was no exception. So, in my first attempt, I couldn't make it. And I was upset very visibly. But I was not ready to accept it. I was not ready to accept the fact that I couldn't get into my dream college. So I thought to myself, one more attempt, one more drop year. So I got into my drop year. I decided 1 साल का drop लेंगे and I'm going to clear the exam this time. I gave up on everything. I would study for hours. I would not talk to my friend for days. While the world was battling with COVID, I had my own struggle with the JEE exam going on. I was sure that I'm going to get in this time. However, I didn't. Life does not always turn out the way we wanted to. There were two particular thoughts that I constantly had in mind once I realized that my dream college and IIT is not going to happen for me. You see, I realized by the time I graduate, all my friends would be earning and they would be ahead in life. I would be the only one who's still chasing them, always chasing what they have actually accomplished. On the other hand, I knew no matter what college I get into, I would always be a year older than all my other classmates. So I was scared that I wouldn't fit in neither here, neither there. And it was a scary thing. Now that I see it, I was standing at a very crucial crossroads in my life. I could either keep being the victim or I could change the narrative. So I decided to grab life by the collar and I decided that over the next 4 years, I'm going to do everything to develop myself. I decided I would attend open mics. I would get new skills. I would make new friends. I would do everything that I wanted to do and become an awesome person. And that's what I did. My life had changed in that very moment, but it was going to take some time to realize it. Do you know what my first win was? It was a simple treasure hunt competition in our first year for freshers. The total number of participants was just 60. I was happy that I won between 16 participants. What it did for me was it helped me get a piece of my confidence back. Slowly, I got into creative writing. Somewhere between first and second semester, I liked the idea of writing stories that people would read. I once remember, I stayed up 48 hours, only on coffee and no sleep, to chase a story idea that I was passionate about. While the story idea didn't turn out to be great, it helped me gain my confidence back. Another crucial point in my life was attending open mic. You see, I was fascinated by the idea that people would come on stage and tell their stories, poems, shairis, or just sing, and people would listen to them. Very soon, I was on the stage performing those. My life came full circle right in this very auditorium. In this auditorium, I hosted a poetry event with all the amazing people that I had met. And the event was so successful, which I'm boasting about, by the way, that people had to literally stand on the stairs to attend it. Now that I look at it, I realize those moments, those little decisions that I took really helped me shape my life. I could have chosen to be a victim and keep sulking about it, but I decided to make little incremental changes over time. Had I made it into IITs, all these amazing people that I met, all these amazing experiences would have never happened for me. You can literally see all the memories I made over the last few years, and these things would have never possibly happened. An interesting concept that came to my mind was, you see, we humans have so many ways of naming things that really break us. We have terms like anxiety, stress, depression, all those terms. One of those very popular terms is PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Trauma आएगा, PTSD हो जाएगा. This will happen, we'll get into PTSD, right? Do we ever stop to think about the possibility that pain doesn't necessarily have to break us? There's also a term for it. Did you know that? There's this awesome term called PTG, that is post-traumatic growth. I'm pretty sure barely anyone of us knew about it. So what this term really talks about and discusses is that not all pain and trauma has to break us. Sometimes pain and all the negative experiences, not necessarily that every time something bad happens to us, we try to just heal out of it and go back to a normal state. We can possibly grow out of it. And don't you think that's a really interesting concept? That all the experiences and negative experiences in life, they don't necessarily have to break us. I feel that everything that we get back, or all the changes that we get back, are life's return gift, even though we didn't get the goal. We've all played those chase interactive games, right? Those games have power-ups. We have super sneakers, or we have a magnet that helps us collect coins, or sometimes we have a hoverboard, a jetpack, all those things. I like to think of life's obstacles like those power-ups that we get in a game. If we just change our perspective enough, if we just wait a minute and look at it, maybe we can look at life's obstacles as those power-ups. And that is all the power that we need. There is this very beautiful piece of philosophy that I really believe in, and I would bet my life on. It is something Steve Jobs said in his 2005 Stanford graduation speech. It goes something like this. You cannot connect the dots looking forwards. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect. And I believe that is how you grab life by the collar. Nothing. No, I don't wish that anything bad would ever happen to anyone. But that's the thing. Whenever something happens to us, whenever we encounter an obstacle, we try to make sense of it in that very moment, and we go into grief mode. Maybe, just maybe, if we gave life a chance, if we waited a while, maybe life would turn out really beautiful. And to make sure that I do not forget this perspective, and to make sure that I always remember this, there's a simple exercise that I do. It has always helped me. I'm suggesting sometime you try it too, and I'll be glad if it helps you. It is a simple 3-step exercise. The first step is about accepting it. So, whenever something happens to you, it may be good or it may be bad. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you failed a grade. Or in terms of good, maybe you won a competition that you were working really, really hard for. Write it down in a single sentence, nothing complex. The second step is about giving it time, letting life unravel in front of us. So the second step is, every 3 months, go back to the diary or journal wherever you wrote it. Look at it. That particular bad experience, that experience you thought had just faltered all your plans and created your life into a series of detours. Did it lead to something good? Maybe you gained a new friend out of it. Or maybe you gained a perspective. Or maybe you gained a new skill. In my case, not getting into IIT helped me get all these amazing experiences, helped me uncover my passion for creative writing, do open mics, and literally stand here in front of you. In hindsight, it all made sense. And that is what the third step is about. In the third step, it's about perspective. Try to connect the dots. What felt as a negative experiences few months ago or even years ago turns out to be something really nice. or whatever good happened in your life, maybe it came from something bad that happened in your life. Everything will connect. And you will find out that more often than not, all the experiences connect. And that's the beauty of life. In front of me, there is this montage of 16 very successful people. All of them. You know what do they have in common? One particular thing. That at some point in their life, they faced some kind of setback. Something, a moment where they thought, this is it. This is where it ends for me. We all have been into those moments, right? They also have one more thing in common. At those particular moments, they didn't give up. They made those pivotal points into turning points. What felt like roadblocks, they used them as springboard for success. And that's the thing. The most beautiful thing about this montage is these are people from different eras, different periods, different fields. But one universal truth that in hindsight, and when they zoomed out, everything in life made sense and every change was a springboard for something greater. So, having said all this and told my experience, I would like you to leave with one question. Next time, when something happens that feels like a failure, would you like to change the narrative or would you like to be the victim? Would you like to grab life by its collar and really get what you really want and let life unravel its beauty, or would you keep sulking on it? Thank you.